We walk through it, we work in it, we live our entire lives surrounded by it, but what is architecture really? It's so much more than just four walls and a roof. So in the next few minutes, we're going to uncover the secret ingredients that can turn a simple building into a masterpiece that tells a story for centuries.
So let's start with the big question, right? What's the real difference between just a building and a piece of architecture? Where is that magic line? At what point does a pile of bricks and wood become something that, as one of the greats said, touches your heart? Well, let's find out.
All right, here is our roadmap. First, we'll nail down the core idea. Then, we're going to jump in a time machine back to ancient Rome to uncover a 2,000-year-old secret formula. After that, we'll see a total rebellion against those rules, discover how architecture is secretly all around you, and then we'll finish with a question that might just change how you look at your city forever. Ready? Let's dive in.
Okay, so first things first. Before we go any further, what are we even talking about when we say the word architecture? Let's get a really solid definition. So the key thing to grab onto here is that architecture is both an art and a technique. See, it's not just about stacking the bricks, it's about the idea behind the bricks. It's the blueprint, it's the vision, it's the why that comes before the how.
This quote from the legendary architect Le Corbusier just nails it, doesn't it? He's saying, look, anyone can pile up stone and concrete. That's construction. But when you arrange those materials in a way that makes someone stop and look and actually feel something, well, that's architecture. It's the difference between a simple shed and a soaring cathedral.
So now that we have a handle on what architecture is, let's look at how it's been judged for, well, most of human history. Believe it or not, for almost 2,000 years, there was a simple three-step formula for what made a building great.
And here it is, the Vitruvian Triad. This was the original recipe for good architecture, laid out by a Roman architect named Vitruvius, and it's just brilliantly simple. First, it has to be strong and well-built. That's durability. Second, it has to actually work for its purpose. That's utility. And third, it has to be beautiful. For centuries, this was the absolute gold standard. Strong, useful, beautiful. That's it.
But you know how it is. Rules are often made to be challenged, if not broken. And the next chapter in our story is a full-on architectural rebellion, a massive clash of ideas that would completely change the face of our cities forever.
So let's do a quick and dirty time jump. After the Romans set the rules, the Renaissance came along and basically turned architects into rock stars. But the real game changer? The Industrial Revolution. All of a sudden we had steel, we had plate glass, new technologies, and a whole new way of thinking was born that just exploded into what we now call modernism.
This sentence changed everything. When the American architect Louis Sullivan said form ever follows function, he was kicking off a revolution. Suddenly, the focus wasn't on beauty first. It was about what the building did. The purpose of the building should dictate its look, and that was a radical idea.
And the modernists who came after him, oh, they took this idea and ran with it, all the way to its most extreme conclusion. They threw out history. They got rid of all the fancy carvings and decorations, which they just saw as useless clutter. They wanted to boil buildings down to their bare, geometric essentials. They were trying to create a totally new architecture for a new, modern world.
And here's the slogan that basically defined a century: less is more. This idea, from one of the great masters, Mies van der Rohe, is what gave us the clean glass and steel skylines we all know today. It was a complete and total rejection of pretty much everything that had come before.
But not everyone was a fan of all that cold, hard seriousness. By the 1970s, a new group of architects came along and playfully shot back, you know what? Less is a bore. And just like that, postmodernism was born, bringing back all the fun stuff the modernists had tossed out. Color, humor, history, you name it. So where does that whole debate leave us today? Well, the truth is, the idea of architecture has exploded. It's no longer just about buildings. It's everywhere, and sometimes in some really surprising places.
I mean, just look at how massive the world of architecture is now. You've got landscape architects designing our parks and public spaces. You've got interior architects crafting the rooms where we live and work. Urban designers are shaping entire cities. We even talk about the architecture of a computer system or a business plan. The word itself has become a kind of blueprint for how we design our world.
And that brings us to the big finale. What are we building right now? What are the huge challenges and the big ideas that are shaping the architecture of our time in the 21st century?
Well, today, there's a new rule in the game. You could almost call it a fourth pillar to add to that ancient triad:
sustainability. It's not enough anymore for a building to just be strong, useful, and beautiful. It also has to be good for the planet. And in a really cool way, this is bringing us full circle, back to our roots, back to a time when we built with nature instead of against it. So when you boil it all down, architecture is so much more than just buildings. It's the story of us. It's our story, written in stone and steel and glass. It's a snapshot of who we were, who we are, and who we're trying to become.
Which leaves us with one last big question to think about. 1,000 years from now, when people look back at the buildings we're putting up today, what are they going to see? What story will our architecture tell about us?